Welcome to the Super Region Final for number 4. Guys, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm hanging in there. I mean, it was a sad weekend as my conference got their doors shut out for good, but we're still here.
And John, how about your conference?
Yeah, my conference not faring any better. So it's Lone Star and GAC Weekly coming up here.
Who would have guessed?
Well,
Yeah.
all the bracket.
How many teams did you have in the dance, AC? 3?
I had three this year.
Three strikes and you're out.
That's how it works, man.
So guys, we're going to go ahead. We'll talk about the games that were played. Then we'll also take a look at we'll pick the only remaining contest that we have, along with having a special guest, old friend of the show, guy who was on the Super Regional Pods a year ago when they were not in the playoffs, and that's Chris McCulla. Those are probably some folks tuning on in to see Coach. He will be on with us here momentarily. But before we do that, guys, let's go ahead and take a little look at the bracket here. We've got on the left side, kind of things played a little chalk, and you have Harding, the 1 seed, making it to the final of the Super Region, and then UTPB, probably one of the last teams to make it on in, goes ahead and makes her run. They win at Pueblo. They win at Western Colorado in dramatic fashion that we're going to talk about here momentarily. And now they get a chance to match up with Harding. Guys, before we went ahead and started the tournament, did you guys think that Permian would be here at this point? In my last show, I was talking with Tony Nicolette, and we had Mankato, who made it from the other side. I think we probably felt there was a better chance of Mankato staying hot than maybe some of the other options here. I think we probably figured Central Washington was going to be here. AC, I'll start with you first. What were your thoughts?
I'm just seeing orange now after 2 weeks of being at UTPB Falcon games. But I just think they're hot at the right moment and capitalizing, and that's kind of what playoff football is at all levels. It's not necessarily who's been the best team over the course of the season; it's who's the best team during the tournament. And boy, are the Falcons, they're rolling right now.
No doubt. John, what were your thoughts coming into the tournament for the right side of the page? How were you seeing? You were pretty big on Central Washington, weren't you?
I was pretty big on Central Washington. I had Permian Basin beating Pueblo, and I thought it was going to be a Lone Star rematch, and Central Washington taking the Lone Star rematch. But Western Colorado knocked them off, and then I think last week we all kind of thought that game could go either way, and a lot of us were leaning towards Permian Basin in that. So it's just interesting when you look at that. The road team has won every game on the right side, and the home team has won every game on the left. So we'll see when they meet in the middle what happens this week.
Well, as we go ahead, and we're going to take a look first at the UTPB contest.
Hopefully, Coach isn't checking the comment section, by the way. He might have some bulletin board material.
Staying with the show and away from the comments for a moment. I know, John, you get easily distracted, kind of like a dog hearing a weird noise. So looking at what we have here for photos, all from our guy AC. AC, I thought you had some real good captures here, and you've got right off the bat as we go ahead and kind of move through the images, Drew Nash trying to kind of make his way through the Permian defense. I'm not ready for his career to be over with yet, buddy. I mean, it feels like he's now become like an all forever guy for me with their program. But then as we move through, you see Cannon Gibson going ahead and trying to reach the end zone here late in the contest. You can see Coach McCullough in the back there gritting his teeth. Not sure how would like to see his quarterback get hit that way, I'm sure. As we move on through, Mr. Freeman, he has a great career here. His career also kind of coming to an end. It feels almost like a turning over with regard to some of the key players. The Ricky Freemans and the Drew Nashes with Western, and you're going to move through here, and we've got as I'm kind of taking a look at these images, Jalen Tillman. Guy who doesn't get his name called as often maybe as some of the other guys on UTPB. 8 catches, 66 yards, a big score here at the end, AC. And, before we kind of get to what happened in the game, I thought this was a real big moment at the end of this contest. He made a nice move, got himself into the end zone. What was this kind of a culmination to you, AC, of kind of where this football game had headed? To the point where they were able to pull off a play like that?
You could feel it, like just having been going to Western games all year. I'm sure even watching it, just in the fourth quarter, like after they get that pick and they don't end up scoring a touchdown after he returned it like inside the 20-yard line. When UTPB drove down the field, you could just feel it was such a gut punch.
Sure.
I think everybody in the stadium kind of knew what was going to happen, and it ended up happening again.
No doubt. And I thought at the end of the day, Cannon Gibson's ability to be able to I thought he was sharp in that fourth quarter when he really needed to be. And I thought that he was kind of the differentiating factor in this game. John, we may be able to make a case that has there been a guy who's been a better quarterback in the playoffs so far for his team than Cannon's impact with them?
Ooh, that's a big question. Different guys are asked to do different things, but I don't know. Mr. Gibson's been really good, especially in this super region. This super region had a lot of good quarterbacks in it, and obviously Keelan Cole does different things than a Cannon Gibson or Drew Nash, but man, Cannon's been really good, and he was good when he needed to be in that one. A little scary moment with the near pick six, and a big shout out to Mr. Mathis for chasing that down. But
Speed.
after that, he locked in, and they weren't going to be stopped.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big one of those moments where he played so well, and then it was one of those moments where, ooh, boy, if you could have that one back. Because it felt like not a good decision at that time. Now, guys, we go ahead and we take a look. Permian ends up winning 21-15 in this contest. They were down 15-0 with 8 minutes left in the fourth or whatever it was. And it just kind of felt like, despite the fact that Permian had driven the ball fairly well throughout the contest, it was finally time for them to get to the pay window or else. And they stood up at that moment. And then there was a big turnover by Western right after the Permian score. AC, I would imagine that had to be kind of that immediate moment of, oh, boy.
Oh, my gosh.
Western might not close this out.
For me, it was like a nightmare. It was like, oh my gosh, is this really going to happen again? Because I've been there for all of them. I was there at the Pueblo one. I was there in Chadron at that one, and I was here for this one. Freshman running back, he just got banged. The linebacker shot clean through on the run play, got a nice shot on him, and he got banged, and the ball just immediately popped out, just squirted out real nice. His helmet might have hit the ball. But yeah, it was a big turnover, and everything was just on pins and needles in the stadium from that point on. And yeah, it was tough.
Watching it, I knew the outcome. Obviously, rewatch it, but it's like you could see it. I mean, you see the yardage difference there. It's they more than doubled them up, and it's like you can just imagine being in that stadium, being like, "Man, we are getting outplayed, but are we going to have a way to hold on in this one if you're Western Colorado?" And obviously the clock just kind of ticked out on them holding on in that one.
Well, guys,
and respectfully, I gotta say, like, Cannon Gibson had the magic, whereas the president on Saturday, Cannon Gibson was the better quarterback. I think Drew Nash had some opportunities. There were some big drops. So a couple plays that probably could have been big early in the game that might have went for a score. There were some drops, but Drew also missed some passes. Like he wasn't in top tier form. And I think a big credit. I think the D line for UTPB guys like Jacob Humphrey. I don't know that he's a household name, but I've watched him 2 weeks in a row. He's a grown man out there. Like it's just the way he affects the game and the fire he had Drew under. Got to give a lot of credit to the defense at UTPB, and they can all cover too. They got DBs for days.
Well, you know what, AC.
Not sure that matters this week, but
AC Ferg brings up an interesting point. You mentioned all the games that you've been at where this has happened. Between Western and Pueblo, they've asked you to stop coming to football games. But,
AC also lines up with the big games, so that might be more of a Western problem than an AC problem.
Hey.
John with an exclamation point there. Well, guys,
John.
Speaking of exclamation points, let's go ahead and bring in the head coach for UTPB, Chris McCulla. And Coach, thanks a bunch for joining us. We just kind of broke down things with your game. Tell us how you would characterize it.
Well, I was too busy reading all these crazy comments. No.
I told you.
Okay, Dykstra.
Go right into them.
It the stat sheet and the scoreboard doesn't really match up to what you saw. Obviously, felt really, really good about our defense all day. I thought the president, obviously a heck of a player, a guy we played before, and one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And going up against our defense, he really didn't have an answer. He obviously has great playmakers around him and a really good O-line, but our guys really showed up to play. And offensively, for 3 quarters, it looked very bad out there as far as finishing drives. And every chance we got, we shot ourselves in the foot. And then you look at that 4th quarter into overtime, and Cannon Gibson came alive. He had 250 yards in the 4th quarter and overtime alone. So he had more in 1 quarter than Western was able to pull out the whole game. So very proud of the effort by all those guys. It's hard when you go down 15-0, especially late in the 4th quarter like that. And you can sense the sense of urgency by everybody. But we didn't have one guy bat an eye, one guy point a finger or let the adversity get to them. Those guys stayed a brotherhood and a family that we talk about and preach about so much in this culture. And we found a way in the end to get it done, even when the kicking game was atrocious.
We did, and you know what, Coach? We didn't even bring that up, did we?
Oh,
see that?
I was saving it for.
Well, you know what, Coach?
Had a kick blocked all year, right, Coach?
No.
Well, so Coach, all of us are going to want to ask you a few questions. I'll kind of start on off, and then we'll kind of go around the horn, let AC and John go from there. But you know what? For those who aren't real familiar with your quarterback, Cannon Gibson, tell us a little bit about him. How did he get to you guys in the first place, and kind of what makes him the star performer he is?
Yeah, so I took the job December of 22, got here January 23, and started recruiting. And Cannon Gibson was obviously on our board being a local kid, and West Texas just beat us on him. Goes to WT and obviously starts 12 games for him over the course of 2 years. And we actually got in a battle, him and our offensive coordinator now, Kenny Herntzer, got in a battle there for an overtime game as well. And we came out on top, but we knew that kid was special. And then he hit the portal after his sophomore year, and we didn't know if we were going to take him, truth be told. We brought him in and kind of interviewed him. We set him at a round table and had every coach, every captain on this football team kind of just drill him for a couple hours to see if he was the right guy for this program. And in the end, we realized this kid's got something to him. Then he gets here and starts workouts, and I was like, oh, Lord, what did we do? Because he's not very strong. He's kind of pudgy. But then the work ethic of the kid, the just determination by the kid, he's got just that juice to him that when the lights come on, he's different. And he's showing that. I really do think he's the best quarterback left in the dance. And I think the way he's played over the course of the last 6 weeks, he's probably the best quarterback in the country at our level. And he's playing like that, especially in the big moments of games. He had a terrible interception. Let's not mistake that. That was atrocious. and it was awful to watch on our sideline. Thank goodness it was Jace Wyatt that talked him down, actually. I didn't know Jace was that fast either, AC. I had no idea until I watched it happen, and I still didn't believe it until I watched the tape. But that obviously led to a field goal, them go up 15-0, and our offense finally found a way to punch it in the end zone.
Coach,
fair enough.
Coach, I'm watching the broadcast back and knowing the result already. There are some moments that kind of made me chuckle a little bit. One, they opened the second half and the announcers said, "Who are Chris McCulla and these Falcons going to be today? The Falcons have to start showing some nerve in this one." And I was thinking, I was like, well, they're about to learn. But I'm curious, what did you tell your team at halftime? I mean, you've been outplaying them at that point, but scoreboard doesn't show it, and that's all that matters in these games. So what was kind of the message when you are playing well, just not finishing like that?
Yeah, those that have played for me or coached with me know I'm very passionate and fired up on game day. Like, I just black out there. But for whatever reason, on Saturday, I was very calm, except for the refs. I was not calm on the refs. But I was very calm to my team. And at halftime, we're down, and I could feel that our guys knew that we were going to win this game. I knew that our guys felt like we were just shooting ourselves in the foot. We were the better team. I think everyone in that locker room believed it. And all I said is, as long as we don't point fingers, guys, as long as we stay together for all 60 minutes, we will win this game. And we did just that. I was very proud of the leaders of this team, not letting the adversity seep into this team and start separating some of those guys. We stayed together through thick and thin and found a way.
Coach, how have you guys how have you been able to foster a culture that is able to keep guys together in these adverse moments when it is like let's not, be shy about it. Like, you're like the portal king of D2. Like, there's a lot of guys that come from other places. How are you able to, build that chemistry and whatnot to get it to where they can, win a ball game down 2 scores with 8 minutes left and not bat an eye?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of things throughout the year, starting in January, when we do get these portal guys in to start building it up and guys getting to know each other. We do something every day called Get to Know Hundo, where before practice, we partner up, two guys partner up, and we walk 100 yards, and one person tells kind of what they're going through in life right now and where they're from and all those things, and then we turn around and the other person does the same thing. It starts with that, and then you have to depend on your leaders. We have this thing called the performance pathway, where leaders create the culture drives the behavior produces results, and every single season those results are a direct reflection of our leadership. Not just me, but those team captains that we have, those leadership council that we got. We give a lot of power to those guys for that locker room, for the weight room, for the practices, where they control the team for the most part. I'm just there to be the enforcer when they need somebody there.
Coach, I'm going to ask you a question that we have not talked about at all from your contest. You went for 2 with a handful of minutes left. And in terms of not thinking it was a good idea, I'm here. Help me understand kind of where you were going with that. Literally your thought process in that very moment.
Twice.
Yeah. So the first time,
when
I guess it was 15-6, wanted to go for 2. So we knew exactly what we needed the rest of the game. Right.
Yeah. That's not the one I meant. I'm sorry. I meant the other one. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that one, I wanted to know exactly where we were, if we're down by 7 or we're going to be having to score twice and not do it. The second one, we all watched our kicking game, right?
I was going to say, there's a decent chance it's getting blocked.
And at the same time, I've been in overtime games. I'm tired of being in overtime games. And at that point, you felt all the momentum shift to us. Let's just do it now. Let's just end it now. And we wound up converting it, but then a yellow flag was on the ground. So we had to
catch, though. That catch on the conversions.
Good.
Yeah.
But we get another holding there. We backed up, and then they block it. Luckily, they're offsides. And And then I thought about going for 2 again, honestly, from the 7. But we wound up kicking it. We finally made one and tied it up. And I should have went for 2 in overtime. I know that.
They might have still been playing off, even from the 7.
But probably should have went for 2 in overtime. Didn't. Just felt like, at that point in the game, let's go up by 7, and hopefully we make this, which we obviously get it blocked again.
Fair enough.
Coach, AC just alluded to them playing off. That touchdown drive to finally, I think it was the first one to get on the board because the second one was a short one. You had a 2nd and 25, a 1st and 25, and a 1st and 15 all on that drive. Like AC said, they were playing off. They were daring you to take the short game. What's that say about your guys kind of being willing to do that? 2nd and 25, throwing a little swing pass out there. Some teams aren't going to be willing. Some quarterbacks aren't going to be willing to kind of take what's there in that situation. Talk about taking what was there the whole game with the way they were defending you guys.
Yeah, well, I've never been in so many 1st and 20s and 25s in my career. All year we've been top 10 program as far as fewest penalties, and then the last 2 weeks, we have not been fortunate with those. But our guys going into that game, we knew they were going to be scared of the deep ball. We have really good receivers. We know that. I expected their DC Todd to bring pressure, to bring heat, to not let us beat them deep. But I didn't realize that for 4 quarters and overtime, I was just going to be able to throw screens on the perimeter every chance I got. And we get to 1st and 25, and heck, if they're going to play 10 yards off, let's just go get 10 right now and then get 10 on the 2nd down. And on that drive we scored the first time, it was 4th and 5 on our own 35, I believe. And we had to go for it. And they were giving up digs all day as well. So it was probably the most patient I've ever had to be calling a game because I wasn't going to be able to take the shots. I was just going to have to nickel and dime them all the way down the field. And we stayed with the plan. We stayed steady with it. And, in the end, our tempo, which is crazy to think about in Gunnison, Colorado at elevation, our tempo really got to them. And there's a couple times, if you look on the live stream, where we're tempoing it and all 11 of the Mountaineers have their hands on their hips where we're just rolling. And I thought that was a huge part of the game as well.
Fair point.
Can you just speak to Cannon's just toughness? Like, took some hits. He runs, and when he runs, he slides sometimes, but he has that Texas toughness to him too. Like, he's a banger. Can you just speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, he's tough, but sometimes it's a little too tough. You should have heard him wheezing. And thank goodness we brought the oxygen with us to Colorado, because there was a couple times in that 4th quarter where he was feeling it. He was, and so proud of that kid and the toughness he showed. And he's shown that toughness all season. We've had a lot of adverse moments where we just put the ball in his hands, and he finds a way to use his feet and make plays. And he's going to take shots. There's some times where we got to get better up front. But he'll step into a shot too. He's not afraid to take one. So he made a throw, I want to say with Ricky in his face, a corner throw to their sideline on that drive where we scored. That was one of the best throws he's made all year with a 6'6" guy in his face. He's not scared of the contact, that's for sure.
I shook his hand after the game, and I got some blood on my hand.
That's every game. That's every game.
Coach, we're going to go ahead and put one of the questions that we had here in regards to the flex bone.
Don't give away all the secrets.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those things that, when you come into this for your own preparation, what have you guys done in the past? How do you going to get yourself ready for Saturday, and how do you think that you guys need to play that?
Yeah, I wish. Paul tweeted out today he's 44-2 in the last 46 games with a bunch of rings on his hands. So
yeah,
not many people has figured it out, and I don't know if we figured it out or not. I think the one thing is you have to bring the physicality to this team. Being a former head coach in the GAC, many of those teams lose the game before they step on the field just because of the logo and the name of Harding.
Sure.
They get scared of that offense. I hate saying it, but that is the truth. And it's the same way with Ferris State, right? I mean, they deserve that type of respect as well. Don't get me wrong. Both teams deserve for other teams to fear playing them. They've earned that. They played with that. At the end of the day, our guys don't know they've never played Harding. They don't know the speed at which this comes. They don't know the physicality that they bring. We can watch it on film. We can talk about it. We can talk about what they've done to the MIAA the last 2 weeks, who everybody knows is or thinks is one of the best conferences out there.
Watch out, Coach. I got the next question.
But at the end of the day, you have to bring the physicality to Harding. They are very physical. They're good. They're fast. I mean, they got kids that were literally playing when I was at East Central as the head coach. You know, Braden Jay, he's been there forever and has 1 million yards and one of the best football players I've ever seen in person. Andrew Miller is obviously one of the best fullbacks in the history of fullbacks. Cole Keelan is probably the best winning quarterback in D2 football ever. And then you look at the defense, and Clark Griffin is 5'8", and he's probably one of the best linebackers in the entire country, no matter the level. So, I mean, they're studs everywhere, and they're a really good football team. So we're going to have to bring it to them. I can say this. We're not going to be scared of them based off their name and their logo and all that. But that doesn't mean we don't. We have to show up, or just like everyone else this year, we're going to get embarrassed. Everybody's gotten embarrassed by them. Everyone. Nobody's come within 16 points of beating them. So they're one of the best teams in the country. I think they are the best team in the country. And we're going to have to play our absolute best football to win this game.
Coach, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot of Harding fans in the comments right now. So obviously they maybe saw your game this week and saw a whole lot of swing passes, but what do they not know? Kind of give them a little taste of what your offense brings to the table and how you're going to attack that defense that, like you said, has been really, really good this year.
Yeah, I think they have one of the best pass rushing defenses out there. Their third down packages are unreal. They're walking 6 or 7 guys up in the box. They're stacking guys. They're putting offensive linemen in conflict a lot because their team speed is different. And I would say that is kind of what people don't understand until they play us, is what our team speed is. Both on offense, our receiving core is pretty special. It's one of the best receiving cores, I think, in the country. And when you have a quarterback that's rushed for 650 yards or whatever Cannon has, we have that speed as well at quarterback. But our defense is team speed. And you ask any coach in the country that has played us or watched us, I think that's what they say the difference is between us and a lot of teams. Is our team speed is different on the back end, and our defensive line with Jacob Humphrey and some of those guys, we have tremendous speed, and that's going to be beneficial playing this triple option team that tries to rocket toss it to the perimeter and get outside of you. That's going to help us knock down some of those 8 to 10 yard runs that sometimes turn into 40 with their offense.
Fair enough. Well, Coach, I'm going to kind of close you on out by saying, you know what, you've been doing a lot of traveling so far. You guys had a long bus trip to Pueblo. Then you flew from there to Western. Now you guys are getting on a flight. Tell us a little bit about kind of your travels upcoming, a little bit of what that looks like, because it looks like your weather is going to be okay. A high of 50, it looks like, for Saturday.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. Even when we went to Western Colorado, it was supposed to snow early in the week, and then it didn't. And then as soon as we leave, Jazz Baines, the head coach there, sends me a picture of about 6 inches of snow the next day. So we've caught a break there. With this travel, it's going back home for me. I'm from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, about 2 hours away from Searcy. Obviously, growing up, spent a lot of time in Little Rock. We'll fly into Little Rock Friday morning or right around noon. We'll have lunch there. We'll already have walked through here in the Permian Basin before we get on the flight. We'll have game night and dinner and all that together and fellowship. And then next morning we'll travel to Searcy and play a 1 o'clock kick.
Fantastic. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you coming on with us, making time for us. And you know what? Good luck down at Harding. And let's go ahead and let's get a great game, okay?
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys and everything you do for D2. It means a lot to us.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, fellas, let's, as we go ahead and we kind of wrap up that contest, before we kind of put a bow on it, let's hear Jazz Baines, a little bit of what he had to say after their contest, and then we'll go ahead and kind of move on to the other game that we had.
Tough game, and not the finish obviously we wanted or anything like that, but I think we had our opportunities in the game, and ultimately didn't play our best game, and hats off to Permian. They played better than us, in the second half, and we came up short, during the game, and hats off to them. But I think we played hard, and we had our opportunities in the game, to extend the lead or to stay in control, and they kept fighting back, and they kept making plays, and ultimately they made more plays than we did, and we knew it would come down to that against that team, and they made more plays than us at the end, so that was kind of the ball game. Yeah, they have a lot. They got a lot of players, and they're a lot of spread offense, and I think we did a pretty good job, for the most part, of containing the run game and those things. I don't know what the numbers ended up, but it looks like a little bit over 100 yards, and they did a good job with that. But they got a lot of guys who can run, and guys make plays on the perimeter. So I think that was a compliment to their run game a little bit, and getting their guys out in space. And then you got to tackle those guys, and they got good players, and so. They got away from the run a little bit, and we were able to, stop that as well. And we need to make some plays on the perimeter. And we just like anything, you screw something up every now and again, and they get a big play or something like that. Those things happened, and they had a few of them. So
I don't think we honestly changed much. We just didn't. I feel like we didn't execute as well in the second half. Kind of all day, I feel like on third down, we didn't execute the plays we needed to, and our third down conversion was very low. It came down to they made more plays than we did, and that's about it.
Guys, this isn't going to be any consolation for Coach Baines and his crew, but you know what? That is not an easy place for a coach to recruit to. They don't necessarily have all the same bells and whistles and everything else that a Pueblo and some of the others do, that they're in mines. That they're going up against. Coach does an outstanding job, AC. I think there's times where Coach Baines does not get enough respect nationally for the job he does with the hand he's dealt there.
Absolutely. I don't think you could have said it any better. He's not necessarily having action. Like, Gunnison doesn't have a movie theater, ladies and gentlemen. For the people that don't know, it's a really small town. So, it's hard to get certain players to go there, some of the high-end talent, the city boys, let's not be shy about it. It's going to be hard to get them to Gunnison and get them to want to go play there. So what he's just been able to build over the course of time, and how he's just kept at it, and how he's built the teams that he likes. He gets the kids that he wants, the kids that buy in to what they got going on in Gunnison, that you see the trust that his players have for him, and what they've done is amazing. I know I can be critical sometimes. That's just because I love the guy, and I think he's capable of more, but I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit for doing what he does at Western. And if he went to another RMAC school, oh man, people should watch out. If he ever did end up at a Mesa or something, I can only imagine what he would do with those kind of resources.
Or maybe he ends up at an FCS or something someday.
Mm-hmm. And you look at it, they lost 2 games at the end of the season. You go from being a host, the top 5 team in the country, to all of a sudden they were outside the playoff picture there for a week. And we all kind of thought they were going to get back in, but following like that in those 2 games, being able to come back and pull off an upset that I think surprised pretty much everybody with Central Wash going down.
Yep.
That says a lot about the buy-in of those guys there, that they didn't fold up their tents and go home when things didn't go their way late in the season.
No doubt about it. Well, guys, let's go ahead and move to the other contest that we had. A little bit of a rainy affair down in Harding, and looked like pretty miserable rainy weather for the most part in this one. And this was a game that kind of slower going in terms of this wasn't Harding just going ahead and exploding. Instead, we go ahead and we see Harding open up with a 17-play drive for 99 yards when they get the football, taking almost 10 minutes of game time up. Talk about a statement drive there. My goodness. Yeah. But then from there, what was it, 20-0 at half, if I recall correctly. Yeah. And, it was one of those things where I felt like Pitt was in this because, until it got to about 20, and then I was like, I don't know about this.
Then it got to 30.
Well, I mean, when it got to 20 at half, it just kind of felt like, okay, this is really not good. And then, Pitt battled back, but it got to 37-7 at the end of the third quarter, guys. And then from there, they get 2 late scores in a time where Harding had their 2s in. Let's be really honest. Yeah. And which is understandable if you're Harding, why risk injury and such when you have the game that much in hand. But let me ask you fellas, John, I'm going to ask you for your take first, and then AC, I'm going to come to you. But John, you had a chance to see Harding the week previous against an AA opponent as well, Northwest. It felt like there was plenty of similarities in the game. The overall outcome very similar. Everything wasn't the same about it, but did you have some of those same feels?
It was pretty darn similar, though. It was rinse and repeat. You look at this, and Pitt was able to run the ball a little bit. Look at that. Is that 6 carries for 62 there? But 6 carries is a big thing because they jump on you so fast. You feel like you need to throw the ball every time, and they shorten the game. So you only have the 6 carries and the 21 pass attempts. Jackson Berry, I will say, he was a warrior in this one. He went down. It looked like he was done for the day a couple different occasions, and he was kind of surprised he finished it, honestly, in a 30-point game there because it was 37-7 when he went down at one point there, and it was like, that might be it. But Pitt battled, but I mean, it looked honestly the same as last week to me. A little bit different because Braden Jay kind of opened things up for Andrew Miller versus the last week where it was kind of vice versa. I think they started with the dive. Pitt did a better job against the dive early. And then Braden Jay hit a couple to the outside, and all of a sudden, then everything was open again. And you'd see Miller had 174 yards. But, there were differences, but really, honestly, it was rinse and repeat. And this game was never in doubt after that 99-yard drive. And one of the moments of the game to me, honestly, was the drive after the 99-yard drive. It was 6-0 because they missed the extra point. And or had it blocked. I forget kind of how that went. But Pitt drove down to the Harding 35 and had a 3rd and 4. And they took the delay of game and punted it. If you're playing Harding, you can't do that. That's 3rd and 4 from your 35. Or from their 35, you got to go for it and trust your offense in that situation. Once they did that, it was like, okay, that's going to be your best chance to score. You just punted your best chance to score, and they're going to score anyway. So to me, I thought that was a big moment where it's like, okay, Pitt, you had a chance to maybe score and make this a game, and there it went.
I think they kept having faith in their defense because their defense has been strong all year, and I think everybody else watching Harding just goes, you know what? They're going to keep doing to everybody else what they have been doing. That's the kind of the prevailing thought. AC, when you got a club like this Harding squad, they're up 20-0 at half. And, when they're going to be able to march in it feels like this makes every possession for the offense of the opposing team really precious. Almost like every play call is precious because you don't know how many plays you're going to get off in that game. You know, it's almost like you're going to be playing 3/4 of a football game.
Yeah, like the pressure is mounted up because you understand the time of possession thing, which already like there's just so much that comes with playing them. They're just like the 99 play drive, I think, just demoralizes a team to start it all off. Like we can't get off the field 17 plays. That's bad. But then, like you said, they get you in this pressure cooker where like we got to score points and we got to get a lead. We got to get them to try to pass some way. And once you're down and you're in pass mode, my guy Justin Sobzak, I learned his name over the week. He can do what he did. 3 sacks. They can get after you. And like I said, it's just so much on so many levels. Like beating this team it seems almost impossible.
Yeah, and that Subzak's really come on in the back half of the year, guys, and been red hot for them. And you know, they're playing some very good squads, and he's getting around the edge and getting sacks here when they need him. Now, we're going to have a chance to listen to Coach Paul Simmons here in a moment. We'll also get to hear from Tom Anthony from Pitt and kind of his parting thoughts because, guys, they've had to play, you know, Harding 2 years in a row here and had at the end of the day, a similar outcome, no matter what the end score is here. But let's hear Coach, first from Harding, Paul Simmons.
Well, all week long, I kind of wondered about, you know, just the mentality of Pitt State. You know, how do you kind of respond from the game last year, and now you got to come down here and I said all week long, if we can start fast, that'd be a really big deal. And you know, to go 99 yards on your first possession, you talk about, I mean, that is how you define a statement drive. So impressive, such a great job by Coach Witt calling that drive, and then the execution by our guys was awesome, and that set the tone for the day, and it was big time.
Coach, you talked earlier in the week about how tough it would be to defend Pittsburgh and playmakers. How do you think the defense actually fared against those guys? I mean, outside of the 2 turnovers where you guys kind of put in a tough spot.
Well, I thought the defense was unbelievable. I really did. You know, I mean, they got 11 first downs, 236 total yards, and a lot of that was when we had young kids in the game. You know, when it was our ones and they had to have it. I thought our defense was suffocating. It was so impressive. You know, and they got good players. You know, number 26 is a dynamite running back. Quarterback's a good player. They got some receiver problems, but I thought our guys came ready to play and executed really, really well. I'm thrilled with how the defense played. They were awesome.
And I think Coach, he's being very candid about his defense because when the game was still out there to be had, his defense was extremely impressive. They gave up 7 points through 3 quarters when this was still, the game was still within maybe reach, let's say. Now let's have a chance to hear Pitt's head coach, Tom Anthony, and his thoughts a little bit about the predicament they're in.
Is the next step for your program to be able to compete and get a win in a game?
Yeah, you just got to keep finding a way to prepare for that, for what they do to you offensively. Like these guys said, man, it's tough. We don't say anything like it in our league, so it's a one-time-a-year thing. And, unfortunately, we had to play them in the second round of the playoffs, and I could sit up here and harp for hours on how broken I feel the D2 playoff system is to have the number 2 team in the country playing, I don't know what we were, 4 or 5 team in the country in the second round. But, that's the nature of the regionalization and how it falls. And, man, Coach does a great job here, and they have a great thing going, and he just continues to propel them forward. And, I say it every year. We're kind of chasing Ferris State and Harding, right now. It's kind of what everyone in the country's doing. And we're not going to back down from trying to play those guys, and we just got to keep finding ways to get better in the offseason, finding ways to improve our roster, improve our players, and improve, what we're doing schematically, against teams like that.
Coach, how disheartening was the first drive?
I mean, it wasn't disheartening. I mean, we were able to, I don't know how many plays that drive was. I mean, that was one of our goals coming into the game, was to try to not give up the huge chunk yardage plays. So for them to put together that long play, long drive, we got our guys to the sideline. It's going to take a series or two just for your guys to realize how fast it comes at them. Like, I think that's the biggest challenge when you're preparing for an offense like them, is you can't replicate the speed of it. We can practice all we want about what we're going to do, but it's going to take you a little bit of time once that game starts for your guys out there to get used to how fast it actually comes at them. Just because to me that's the toughest thing to actually do during the week, is to replicate the speed in which they operate.
I think he brought up some important things there, and I thought that very last comment where he talked about it's hard to replicate the speed that they have, because your scout team, let's be honest, they can give you a look. I mean, I'm going to ask you this, AC, former player here. My thoughts are they can give you a look, but they're not going to be able to come anywhere close to the game speed that you're going to get in those first two series of snaps, or let's say, I mean, am I off base on that?
No, you're spot on. Not only the speed, but the talent. Like, there's a reason those guys are on the scout team, and there's a reason these kids are starters for Harding. And it's a different, two very different things, apples to oranges. I think, like, yeah, you can't replicate it. It's very tough to play. You got to be very assignment sound, and you got to have the dudes. It's tough. Not a lot of teams have them. Wichita's had it. Like, who else has beat them in the last 3 years?
Been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, they are. They're a machine right now. We'll get to it when we talk about those picks. But I mean, yeah, the only reason Pitt got 21 is a backup fullback and like a fourth string fullback fumbled and gave them short fields there. Otherwise, that Harding defense doesn't get enough credit for what they are. And we talk a lot about Clark Griffin. I think Jordan Mays next to him at linebacker lets him do a lot that kind of lets Griffin roam a little bit, because he brings the size and a lot of thump to that linebacker spot. So I think he's kind of an unsung hero in a team that has a lot of stars on it, obviously.
Well, and you know what? There was an interesting question that was asked earlier in the show, guys. Here, is there a reason Keelan is not considered a top tier quarterback? Okay, so that said, guys, I'm going to take a swing at that here in a minute. But John, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts as to? Because I don't think it's an unfair question, but what are some of your thoughts as the reasoning for that?
My first thought is, I wonder if that's the guy who took a selfie with me in Cersei a couple weeks ago. But no, I
knew I shouldn't have brought up the comments there.
I know. But I mean, Keelan Cole, it's the nature of the beast. Triple option quarterback. He's never going to get as much credit unless he's running it and is like the leading rusher in that offense, which he's not. But boy, he gets a lot of tough yardage for them. Short yardage, if they don't think they can just give it to Miller and get it, he's always going to be the one carrying the ball in that. And I mean, I don't think we can undersell how pivotal he is to what they do and what they've done for the last 4 years. I mean, there's a reason late in that game they had the second and third string running backs in. They still had Keelan Cole in there, though, because he's that important, and they didn't want to completely let go of the rope and let Pitt get in it any more than they already did. So he's just fantastic at what he does, and he's going to have a couple moments here coming up in this playoffs where you definitely see his impact felt.
I think to put it into perspective, like, he's an option quarterback. When's the last time you knew an option quarterback's name? Like, there's a bunch of option quarterback schools at big D1s. I live in Colorado Springs. Air Force is down the road. I don't know the name of their quarterback. I know Cole Keelan, though. So, like, obviously, him being an option quarterback, he's never going to get the love is like a Zach Zabrowski and a passing quarterback. But the fact that he has that name recognition alone, I think that's a big deal. Like, how many option quarterbacks do you really know, like year over year? That's not something that's big to me.
You know what? I think we certainly talk about him a lot on this show, and I'll stand on that. It's kind of like comparing a point guard that doesn't score a lot in basketball, who gets a ton of assists, with LeBron James and other guys who are top players in the league who score a ton, who really fill up the stat sheet. So
Like
much
John Stockton is Steph Curry.
I mean, it's if you're not scoring a lot in sports, you don't get recognized in the same way with those who do. And that's really what it comes down to, because, when you have different teams, I mean, you're going to look at his stats and say, okay, how many rushing yards did he have? How many yards did he have? Well, the fact that he can facilitate their offense in the way he does, there's not much in the way of stats that show that. That's his problem. Now we see that he's up there for the most wins ever for a Division II quarterback, and he's approaching that number here shortly. But that's a team stat, really, if we're going to be really frank on that. And he'll be the first to say that. Their defense is a huge piece of what they do. He's flanked with Braden Jay and Andrew Miller. I mean, this is a heck of a ball club. And, Blake Delacruz last year was a heck of a ball player for him as well. I mean, so this is nothing new. I think, Cole Keelan is a tremendous leader for this team and what they do. And I think that's really what needs to be kind of focused in on, is that's why he's not going to be, they didn't put him up for the Harlan Hill in either year. It's because they understand that his stats won't get him the kind of probably the eyeballs for how people perceive the highest performers. That's kind of my take, guys.
I think of it as like a dominant nose tackle on defense. Like that person's never going to get the stats, never going to have the most tackles, but man, they control everything that you do. And if you're going to run the triple option, you need a quarterback that can control everything you do. And man, he has been that guy for them, and he is still that guy for them. So definitely Cole Keelan presents a lot of problems, even if his stats don't jump off the page.
Now, John, one last thing before we move forward. Coach Anthony, another thing that we didn't really unpack there, and we didn't the other night, but we have a little bit of time right now. I'll ask you.
Unpack it every year.
Well, we do, but he mentioned, the fact that the 2 seed is playing the 4 seed. I like the fact that he was referencing in our poll, because they were 6 in AFCA. So kudos to you, Coach, for pointing out the best poll there was.
The SID might not acknowledge it, but
you know what I mean. If Pitt doesn't put it out there, that's not a big deal to me right now. It's about I think it's recognized by most. So
yes.
And coaches, but that moving past that, how about the piece where he's looking at kind of the flaws of the system? John, what are your thoughts about if you could wave a magic wand? What would you do that could still make it so that this is not something where it's like cost is irrelevant? Because let's be honest, that's a dreamland. What do you think would be a reasonable move forward to this, to better the tournament, but to also try and get away from just the kind of the regionalization that we have so much right now with this Pitt Harding thing is a perfect example?
I would love a full FCS model. I think that's what everybody immediately points to. We're not going to get that, though. I would love to see the top 8 teams in the country. That's what I would truly – I think that's a middle ground. 16 teams would be even better. And then after you get to that, then you can divide up into little mini pods that are geographically based and maybe have more freedom with that than you have right now in the super regions. Because we see certain super regions that are closer to other ones than they are to maybe another conference in their region, like Northwest Augustana is a good example of that, where they're in different regions, but they're about the closest to each other any of these schools. So I think there are ways to do it where you seed the top 8 teams in the country and you divide it up, and then at least maybe you have some teams that are unhappy. Hey, I was the 12th team in the country and we had to play the number 2 in the first round, but at least it's not number 4 and number 2.
Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, if we're dividing up the teams that actually have a chance to win a national title, I think that would be good. But I mean, we have this discussion every year, and I think this year is better than years past. Years past, it was Super Region 3 final is the best game on the calendar every year. I think we're going to end up with a Harding-Ferris matchup in the final, and I think that's going to be the game that everybody wants to watch. So at least we're making progress with how this is done. The facts are the facts, though. In the further west you go in the country, until you get to the RMAC, and that falls off a little bit. But then the teams get better and better as we go. So you're always going to have that with the geographic model, that a couple of the super regions aren't going to be as strong as the other two. So I don't know. We talk about it every year. I mean, it's be some good fodder in the off season maybe, but it is what it is at this point. And to win a national title, you got to beat Harding at some point. So I guess you try to beat them now.
Well, and my thought is that let's get to 32 teams by finding the best 32 in the country.
Yeah.
Not regionalize them. Let's just find our best 32.
Yeah.
Then once we might make our bracket and start filling in the blanks after we've got our top 8 teams seeded. And, John, you and I kind of joked around about this during the week before this point and we kind of drew some things up. And
you dug deep.
You know what? We could go ahead and.
How many Super Region 1 teams are you knocking out?
We didn't knock out that many. There not as many of them are hosting. I will say that.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I think we had 1 team from SR1 leaving and 3 teams from SR2 that ended up falling out if we did it the way we saw it. And we went ahead and John and I took a look at, you throw in a blender, our poll, AFCA, you put in KPI, you put in Massey, and you also put in SP Plus, the ESPN one from Bill Conley. You put all 5 of those in a blender, take an average of them, and that's kind of where you end up being seated, 1 through 8. And then everybody else, we just kind of figure out where they go. And I think that there needs to be a positive step forward that's done with that. The idea of all the regionalization that's done is done in all the sports here. And I just feel like football's a different animal, and you don't have enough games that are played to be able to really go ahead and do it the same way as you do the other sports. That's just kind of some of my thinking on it. But, honestly, it probably would be a great off-season show.
Honestly, it's ridiculous in all the sports. I mean, for years there, when Northwest Missouri State was winning national titles every year, their best game would be against the champion of the Northern Sun in the regional final. And then it'd be a cakewalk in the Elite 8. So, I mean, every sport has stronger regions than most. Baseball's always stronger in the South. Like that's kind of the way it goes. But there's different ways to maybe you could get around this and make for a better tournament. That's for sure.
And that's kind of what we have in mind. Is this is all about, we're looking at things nationally here. What's a better tournament? Mm-hmm. This isn't about what's best for this group or what have you. So, well, guys, let's move forward. And we got a game that we need to go ahead and look at here. And I'm going to go ahead as we're talking about it here. I do want to mention UTPB and Harding. Certainly, you can see the kind of the mini tail of the tape here. For those who haven't noticed, UTPB scores plenty of points. I mean, their 21-point output this last week pulled them down from that 40 number that they were at. Now, the other thing I want to go ahead and mention is we did go ahead the other night, and we had some of our Sunday night crew who picked the games, and you can see that we had a lot of mixing of the results there, including Minnesota State and Ferris. But when we got to Permian and Harding, didn't have so much mixing.
Yeah.
So
I don't believe.
So that said, Dykstra, I'm going to you first. Give me your breakdown. How do you see it? How do you think the game plays out? And who do you got?
Oh, is Coach McCullough still in the green room? No, I said beginning of this this whole tournament, I thought Northwest would be the best game against Harding, and I think I've been right so far, and I think it continues. Unfortunately for UT Permian Basin, and unfortunately for those who want to see a competitive game. I think UTPB might be able to score more than the two MIAA schools that they have faced so far, but I think that Flexbone is a well-oiled machine, and I can't see Harding slowing down this round yet. So I've got Harding winning this one pretty comfortably. I think they're just on a collision course right now with Ferris, and I don't see much getting in their way.
Well, and I want to bring up Craig Fenn, Craig writes for us for the Lone Star and does a great job for us. Craig's got a good, understanding of D2 as a whole, not just his own conference. And he kind of mentions an important point here about how UTPB has held their opponents down to their lowest point totals of the entire season.
This ain't the RMAC anymore.
And Dykstra putting a wet towel on that. But so AC, I'm now coming to you. How do you see it, buddy?
I mean, look, guys, I think you guys all know who I was going to pick. I mean, I wore goals for a reason. It's only right. I've been picking against UTPB this whole playoffs. I feel like I'm helping the cause, low-key. I'm pretty sure McCullough probably clips me every week. So why not add more fuel to the fire, for one, for that aspect? But also, seriously, though, Harding, as much as I think UTPB may be able to jump out to a lead. I just think that defense is going to be able to get after Cannon Gibson. I think Western was able to get after him a little bit, and he was able to show off his toughness and make some plays. But I think Harding's just going to be a little bit of a different beast, and I think they're not going to be afraid to press at all either. So I got Harding winning, and I think UTPB. I think they make it good for at least a half or so before the physicality of Harding kind of starts to wear on them, and Harding pulls away.
That would be an upgrade over these first 2 weeks. So that would be impressive if they can do that.
Well, I mentioned on the Sunday show that I think that when you watch Permian Basin and how they were trying to attack Western Colorado just a week ago, they were running plenty of stuff where the run game was an afterthought, and they were gonna, they were swinging a lot of, they were doing a lot of bubbles. They were, going ahead and hitting a lot of. The quarterback didn't have the ball in his hands very long, and in the times when he did, there was times where it was almost like a delay run, where all of a sudden now he's getting some yards. Him being upright, Cannon Gibson, is extremely important in this game. So that's my first concern. But I mentioned the Central Missouri game of a few years ago when they scored 30 something on Harding and took them to the limit. Yeah. And only the blocked field goal or the block extra point at the end changed them from going to overtime. I think that UTPB does have some of that in them in terms of, I think they can put a scare in Harding. I think if Harding goes man on them, I think UTPB could hit a few fades on them. I really do. Now, it's all a matter of are we going to have enough time to throw and things of that sort. And I just don't know if they're quite as athletic and talented as that Central Missouri team was. But I think that they have a puncher's chance in that regard because of the style that they play. I'm going to be real interested to see how Harding looks to defend them. If Harding's going to go ahead and play some zone and let them do some of those things underneath, or if they're going to come up and try and play man and kind of dare them to try and take that shot. I'll be fascinated to watch that, but I'm still saying that Harding will win out, but I would not be surprised if we have ourselves a competitive ball game. And I would love to see it because I'm here for all the best ball games we can get, not here for the blowouts. So
Pitt tried some of that horizontal passing game against Harding, and they got lit up on almost every time they tried it. And UTPB's made that thing a science, so they're a lot better at it than Pitt is. But, man, they did try it a few times, and it was big hit after big hit, receivers losing their heads. So I don't know if that's going to work. It might have to be the downfield shot game, and I mean Harding's pretty good at that too. So I'll be curious how it goes. I think this is the biggest test offensively that Harding's seen all season.
I would agree. I think it's the best offense they will have seen.
Yeah, but man, this is the best defense that Permian Basin has seen as well.
I didn't say anything about Permian Basin stopping them. So
on that front, though, how fun is it going to be to watch Tristan Exline and Andrew Miller meet each other this weekend?
Yeah. Yes.
On that dive play, that's going to be awesome. Like that's going to be fun for the people that know.
As long as he can avoid getting cut before Miller gets to him, man, those offensive linemen have made that thing a science as well.
Well, and certainly Permian they face a team who runs the option, runs the flex.
Mm-hmm.
So they're familiar with that and how they like to defend it. I think they do a 4-man front as opposed to the normal 3-man front. But at the same time, you know what? Everyone has been prepared or thinks they're prepared for this. And then by the time you start to try and catching up with the game speed, you're already down 2 scores and you've already dug a hole.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. But, well, guys, some other things that we need to kind of take a look at. Harlan Hill, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., feel free to check their Twitter handle. They've got where they will be announcing at 9 a.m. There's a local radio station. I think it's like 103.7 down there in Arkansas.
Little Rock, I believe.
Yeah, that goes ahead, and they are the host of all of this. And the Little Rock, I think, is a touchdown club and so forth. And while we're not, in any way affiliated with it, we just want to go ahead and help kind of publicize it a little bit. But take a look on Twitter on the Harlan Hill handle there. It will mention where this will be, and they've got a live stream that they normally have in their radio studio. So they'll probably be talking about who got put up for that. Now, guys, that said, the 8 finalists, 2 from each super region, will be put out there on tomorrow morning's show. Now, that said, Dykstra, if you were an SID and you had a vote here, and you could pick 2 guys, who are the 2 guys that you pick here?
First of all, wait, it's the Harlan Hills coming up. Did somebody forget to tell the MIAA? Like, what?
Well, apparently, into the comments, they're barely playing football right now because they're worse than the GAC. I see that.
I saw that earlier too.
Thank goodness Ferg and Tony, who actually watch football, are here. But we'll talk about that later.
Well, if your best team beats that conference, that means your entire conference is better, right?
I mean,
that's what people think.
When you got a punter up for the Harlan Hill, you know that's a good conference. So. Well, let's dive into it. Sorry for derailing you again.
Yes.
Anyway, my first one is one I'm surprised you guys didn't give a little bit more love to on Sunday's show. He's the top runner for the best rushing offense we've maybe ever seen. Andrew Miller, I think you have to put him on there. They are either going to win a national championship or take second, and he makes so much of what they do go with the dive. I would put Andrew Miller up on that list, and I could see arguing as high as second or maybe third in the nation. But I would nominate him for sure. And then the second one is kind of a little bit your taste of, you could go a lot of different ways. Tristan Exline obviously could be a nominee here. I think TJ Chukwara is the best receiver in the country. I would be just fine if he was on here too. But I think I got to go Kennedy McGill. I think he was the best player in the Lone Star all year. He had so many clutch moments for Central Washington. And I do it a little less based on stats as probably the SIDs do, but this is who I would pick. And I would have Andrew Miller and Kennedy McGill.
Would you take Kennedy McGill over Cannon Gibson as your quarterback?
I would, but it would be more of a debate.
I wouldn't.
Okay, well, Cannon Gibson's not on this list either.
I agreed. He's got another year left, so
I would take Kennedy McGill. It didn't work out in the playoffs, but
agreed.
He had a phenomenal regular season, and I don't really know what we're even judging this. This is a regular season award, right?
Yeah, well, they don't vote on at the end of the regular season, so
they don't do a lot of things at the end of the regular season, but I think it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I would still look at this list of names. I would go Kennedy McGill, but I get more willing to debate that than I am my Andrew Miller pick.
Fair enough. Now, I mean, keep in mind, any of the guys we're talking about, extremely high performers. Now, AC, I'm going to go. If you had your two, where are you going with them?
I think Andrew Miller's probably a unanimous guy. If there was a unanimous guy on this list that we have here, he's the closest to that. So I'd go Andrew Miller in one spot. My second spot, I mean, I can't lie. I am only human, and I think there is a such thing as recency bias in playoffs and big games. Like, the bigger the game, the more implications it matters. I think if Drew Nash wins this last weekend and has a great performance, I think he's looking real sweet. But because he didn't, I think I probably lean TJ Chukwara. I think statistically, he still might be leading or very close to after having not played the past 2 weeks now. So right. Andrew Miller and TJ Chukwara for me.
I watched Chukwara the first 2 weeks of the season. Chukwara tore up Sioux Falls, tore up Grand Valley in consecutive weeks when both of those programs were playing some decent football, and they didn't make the playoffs, but they were that next group of teams who would have, and he had his way. So outstanding season for sure. I took a look at like an RJ Martinez, had some of the best stats for any quarterback, but if I look at their biggest games, he did not have good games. He had bad performances, if I'm going to be honest. So
except for against Western.
Well, I mean, when I take a look at some of their biggest ones, I look at when they got in the middle of the season, and I thought that they needed to have it. Like Central Washington was a dumpster fire and those kind of games. But he had there's no doubt he had a tremendous year as a whole. You know what? I came back to X-Line. I thought that he's had a tremendous season. And, I think you've got if Reggie Ratzlaff had been healthy this year, I think you would have probably seen, him be at maybe more of his normal numbers. He didn't quite get to, I don't think he was at 1,000 yards. He was, it just fell short of that. But, there's a lot of real good names on this list. That's for sure. And Andrew Miller, I can't argue with that at all. I mean, he's had a tremendous season and just kind of continues to build on it. With every good playoff opponent they have, they're not slowing him down. So that says a whole heck of a lot about him. But
and he didn't make any of our list, but the guy with the biggest name value on this is Reggie Ratzlaff. So I could easily see him making that whatever. I guess it's not a trip like the Heisman where you get to go to New York, but making that final list.
Well, guys, I don't want to, and I kind of threw this in here last minute tonight because it hasn't gotten much publicity. The Gene Upshaw Award for the top player at the line of scrimmage. We've got offensive linemen. We've got some defensive linemen on this list. Kind of focusing a little bit on Super Region 4 for the purpose of our show. John, a guy that you covered, Clayton Power, I'm not real surprised to see his name on here.
No, very, very worthy nominee. Yeah, he was dominant this year. He's a guy that's just gotten better and better every year in that program. Helps when you have Rich Wright coaching you for 3 of those. But Roberto Davis did a good job with him this year too. And yeah, he was the most dominant lineman in the MIAA, hands down, this year. And very, very fitting to see him on this list. And we also had people in the comments asking for Harding offensive linemen to be on that last list we had. So you got your wish.
This is the one. Yeah.
You know what? There's a few guys from HBCU that are not on here that I thought maybe, I mean, there was a guy from Benedict, another guy from Livingstone. Neither one got nominated by their team, and they were two of the top, SAC or TFL guys around. I thought that would have given the defensive side a better chance of winning this award. That's very frequent that happens, guys. I'm not entirely sure I see it that way this year, unless it's Michael Shimmick from Ashland. He's kind of the one that really stands out to me. And, that said, yeah, I mean, and Ferg's in here kind of mentions here, Kenyon Garner, who I was thinking of, and Benedict's got a few guys who had a tremendous year on a very solid defensive football team.
Does Slade have the name recognition after being all region for like a couple of years running? He's been an All-American before. Does he have the name recognition to do it? The center out of Central Washington, Slade Edwards?
I think Slade will win the Remington Award for the best center in Division 2. That's my initial take. And this is me not taking anything away from the other centers in Division 2. Ferris State has a real good center as well, and other teams do. But
I would go Shimmick would probably be the favorite for this award just with those stats he's put up.
You're probably right, because the offensive linemen aren't going to have any stats for anybody to look at.
An offensive lineman, if the most name value an offensive lineman could have probably belongs to Joe Cooper out there in Super Region 1, though. We've been talking about that guy for year after year after year, and the comments can plug their ears because they don't want to hear about Super Region 1, but that guy is a good football player out there for Slippery Rock.
Well, before we go, a guy we don't talk about, Domingo Prince II at CSU Pueblo. Big shout out to him. Like, not only is he a great guard, I think he's been one of their bigger leaders behind the scenes, like from the Riston era to the VU era, and buying in and getting the rest of the guys to buy in. I think he was huge in that. I think he's a really stand-up young man, and I just want to give him a shout out. Linemen we don't mention their names very much on these programs, but I've been watching him for years. He's a hell of a player, and he's a beast of a human being. He's huge, dude. Huge.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a handful of guys on here that are offensive linemen that I'm already used to them being on our preseason Elite 100 watch list. So some of these guys, the fact that they're still being listed and held in this high regard tells me that they're probably going to end up being on that list nonetheless. But keep in mind, whether it's this list or the Harlan Hill, these are nominated by their teams. So if their SID nominates them, that doesn't mean they're on our Elite 100. I want to be real clear about that. Our Elite 100 are who we feel are the top 100 performers in the league, not just who are nominated by their schools for various reasons. So don't I don't, when the Elite 100 comes out, I don't want to say, well, how was he not on it? Well, we can't have 22 quarterbacks on our Elite 100. That's kind of some of the thinking. So
we talk a lot about name value though, and there's no more name value than Witt's guy up there, Mojo Works. So that's the ultimate name value.
No doubt. You hear that name once and you don't forget it. So. But guys, let's go ahead and we're going to wrap up the show here by taking a look at our D2 bowl games. You know what? We want to go ahead and shine some light for the squads who are still playing other contests. But if I'm going to be honest with you, our focus is on the playoffs, not what essentially are kind of another ball game, but not one that's in the national tournament. Now, that said, we've got Arkansas Tech against West Texas. That one's being played down in Texas. We've got Upper Iowa going against Hillsdale. That's in the state of Indiana, just on the Indiana side of the Chicagoland area. And then we also have East Central and Northeastern State. They are playing in a kind of a newly created bowl game at Northeastern State, kind of an odd situation with that. And it's sponsored by like the Seven Nations, something or other. I don't have all the info in front of us here, but I'm just kind of putting it on out there. Guys, I'm going to have you guys just pick your winners. So I'm Dykstra. I've got you first. Give me your winners in these 3 games.
For all 3 of them, huh?
Yep.
We're going to go. We just talked about RJ Martinez.
Yes.
I have no idea if he's in the portal or anything like that, but give me the best.
Well, that's a risk right now, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, it really is. Like, you can laugh, but I mean,
you're right. I'm laughing.
Portal. So that's my qualifier. If RJ Martinez is still in West Texas, give me West Texas in that one. I'm always riding with the guys in Fayette. You gotta go with the Peacocks to keep their kind of.
I didn't realize you were always riding with the guys in Upper Iowa, but okay.
Yep. Always with the Peacocks. So they've had a magical year. Keep it rolling. Why not one more? They're going to be excited to be in a bowl game. So we're going with them. And then the Coach JB show special here with Northeastern State. This game's gotten a lot of hype. Good for them for getting there.
One of the bigger bowl games.
Yeah, that's what I hear. One of the 3. And then with Northeastern State, I just think they really want to be there. They are excited about this, obviously. I'm sure East Central's excited too, but
can you make a pick? That would be great.
Yeah, I think Northeastern State wins this. You knew where I was going.
Yes, it was circling the runway there.
I figured you'd appreciate the JB show.
Yes. So, AC, please, God, don't take that long. How are you seeing these?
We're giving these bowl games some shine. Take as long as you like.
I love Tech's just their mascot and logo, the Wonder Boys. That's dope. But great. The Wonder Boys are not about to have nothing for that West Texas attack. I think West Texas wins and wins big. I was going Hillsdale earlier in the green room, but every time I look at that logo, I kind of got the JD feel. Like, can you really go against the Peacocks in those colors? Like, nah, I'm gonna go with the Peacocks. And then Coach Chev and the boys, I think they win and make a statement. This is another D2 in Oklahoma. I think that's a big deal to him with recruiting. I think he's going to put a stamp on their season where they think they should have made the playoffs. So
is that meeting Eastern a statement?
It's the best conference in the country, Witt. It's the GAC. Come on.
Oh, boy.
Ask our comments.
I think everything for Coach Chev is a statement. It's where he's trying to just elevate the program. I think everything's a statement.
I get where you're going.
I understand. Say that again.
Well, I've got West Texas, but I wouldn't be stunned. I think that's the hardest game for me to pick. I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas Tech was able to D them up a little bit and slow that football game down. But I do have West Texas win it. I mean, I don't know. And John kind of pointed out an important thing. We don't know I mean, if a guy has thoughts about going in the portal, is this game going to hold him back? I don't know.
Not.
That's kind of up in the air, and frankly, we took a look at Permian and Central Missouri last year, and Central Missouri had some of those concerns where guys were like, "Yeah, I'm actually out the door." So we'll see. But Upper Iowa
tracker. Any news here, Ferg, of any guys in the portal?
Well, don't worry, I'll finish out my picks. But
You don't need to.
Upper Iowa, I'm going to take them. I think maybe as good a color scheme as anybody in Division II. I'm a sucker for that. And I will take Northeastern State. I agree with what AC had said. I think that this feels like a prove-it game to them. I don't know if we see it really as a prove-it game to us, considering they're playing a 6-5 ball club. But you know what? The fact that each one of these teams has got another game to play, kudos to them. There's a whole lot that wouldn't mind having another game to play, and they do. So there's something to be said for that. But
heck yeah.
Well, guys, this is we do have other Super Region shows that'll be coming up. We have one tomorrow that is Super Region 2. Those guys will unpack things.
My guy Godwin.
Godwin, our fellow there. And then as we look into Thursday, it'll be SR1. The guys will be going ahead and breaking down the action there. So, fellas, we're done with our Super Region shows. AC, are you going to miss hanging out with Dykstra? I don't think I will.
I think me and Dykstra have grown on each other, you know.
Witt had to hang out with me all year, to be fair. You got Draper. Like, that's a way better trade.
Yeah. Well, fellas, I appreciate you guys making time, and everyone who is tuning on in with us. Make sure we've got 2 more shows left this week, Wednesday and Thursday. And, we'll go ahead and carry on from there. Not a whole lot of games left, but once again, tons of people in the comments. A whole lot of good chat going on there, and we really appreciate everyone for kind of joining us for this. And see you guys out at the games.